Alrighty, folks, we are back live. This time, talking to you about a smart contract that we decided in the Discord channel it was prudent to figure this out. Um, so, what we are looking at right now is a GitHub situation that needs to be refreshed because I just pushed an update. There we go. Just got ourselves an update here. I've been working internally, like I said, in the Discord group with figuring out bots and figuring out contracts and general shenanigans all over the place. So definitely a fun place to check out if you are into such shenanigans and crypto activities. Lots of DeFi topics, lots of discussion of contracts and all that good stuff. So we're going to dive into it. This particular repo is a truffle situation. It is based on Node.js. You can go away. Thank you. And we are live on YouTube. Sorry. And we use truffle along with Node.js. So you will need to have an environment that is compatible with Node.js, NPM, or NPM, well, yeah, Node Package Manager, and the Truffle framework. So get those installed. You want Truffle installed with the -G flag. Don't forget to put it as a CLI globally and all that good stuff. So once you have your Truffle environment set up, you'll need to create an env file. You but you have to take the .example off and make it just .env and paste a private key in here and definitely create a separate account for this and then keep track of that account. You'll need to fund it with testnet ether or BNB in this case, but again, this contract will work on any EVM clone. So this is definitely not just for Binance, folks. The contract right now in Truffle is only set up for Binance, but there's nothing stopping you from doing like a Ganache CLI, like it talks about, or going otherwise with your deployment here. Raspin works real nice. Or if you got your other private networks, or if you're crazy enough to throw the stuff out on mainnet, rock and roll, folks. But this here is simply using the testnet URL in a situation for testnet on Binance right now, and you'll see this used later. But we do use the .env situation. So rename this file to just .env. Take the example off. Throw your private key in there, in between the quotes. That's what you do. And then you'll have to do an npm I in this top level directory here. Like, so when you check this out, when you clone this, because it will update. This is not done, folks. So downloading a zip is a possibility, but if you're on the wind blows, consider using the desktop and being able to update, because this is definitely a work in progress. And then you'll see two contracts under here. So we're gonna have to get into the under the hoods a little bit of how Truffle works. But Truffle works itself on a contract that basically itself, somehow, I don't fully understand the logic behind it, but Truffle itself deploys this contract first, and then it allows you to deploy it again. Um, um, but deploy it again. Basically, you update they update it the second time, unless you use the reset flag. So there's a lot of little ifs here, folks. This is why I say we have to kind of get into a little bit how Truffle works. So if we're doing this on testnet, I'm not certain, and we're gonna test it out one more time here. Um, you need to use the reset flag, even though you shouldn't have to because we are deploying it onto a public testnet. Um, if you're using Ganache CLI, which is not configured here, but just so you're aware, you absolutely have to use the dash dash reset in the command we're about to run to make this work. So I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but you need to know that Truffle itself deploys its own contract called migrations, which is nothing that we need to understand, but it's going to cost gas in the real world when you go to do this. So just be aware of that. So it's a simple contract, but it somehow Truffle needs it. And then when you do this in a real network, I'm told you do not use the reset because it'll deploy brand new contracts, I guess, and you're spending real gas. Because remember, contracts are immutable on the blockchain. You do not get to change them. You can call functions and change aspects of the contracts, and I think that's how this knows. Because now let's dive back into how the migrations work. So you'll see that they start with a number here. Um, and this is where the dash dash reset comes in, and this is where I was kind of confused. But even on BSC testnet, at least so far, I've always had to do the dash dash reset, and I haven't figured out if some I'm doing wrong or not. So that'll be a to be determined, but we'll see if it works without it or not. And we're gonna learn in real time, folks. So now the migrations is a construct that all it does, and you'll see something very similar here and again in a minute, but you can do more in this file, but we don't need to do more for the migrations in particular. But this is like your starting point of what has to happen to deploy the contract. And then in our case, then again, so now the second option is going to be deploy. And again here, you can see it's default. I didn't change it from other than making this say swap here and making this a sync and swap here, even though I don't, that's one thing I need to fix here that I didn't fix is I had tried to do a few more things inside of here because now let's jump back for a second into a situation, say like MasterChef contract. I don't have it pulled up here, but we can just imagine, when you deploy the master chef, there's some constructor elements that get passed, which our contract does not have, that you need to have that data ready and have that information ready. That's where you would do that here. You would go and have your router address or your factory addresses or your BNB addresses or whatever that contract absolutely needs to be constructed. The constructor, would have to be handled here. I've made this function very simple. We've hard coded everything, as we'll flip back over and show you. Um, because this is extreme coder style, we don't need the complexities of variables and knowing all those moving pieces. I wanted to get this deployed and get it working and learn it to be able with using it and not be frustrated with a day of oh shit, that's what I forgot to do. Because when I first deployed this, I didn't realize a couple things, and that I wasted a half a day going, why the hell does not work? And it was simple, and I didn't think about it enough. All right, so all we simply do is just deploy, but just realize in step 3 here, like if we had another contract, you would put a 3 and call it something else. I also should not call this deploy here. It should be 2 and swap, and I'll change that because, again, contracts are immutable. Once you deploy them, there's no changing them. You got to deploy a new contract, and that's why if we break away for a second on a little sidebar, it's why there's these migrations, LP V1 to V2 migrations, and Uniswap V2 to V3, whatever, because contracts cannot be changed. So just remember that contracts are forever. So now back into the swap contract, and if you've looked at any of the, and as per standard operating procedure, I'm already losing my voice, folks. A little bit of Colombian battery acid. There we go. So we have a specific version of Celerity that we use, and this code is licensed MIT. So we're not stealing anything. We just simply provide the license and it's good to go. But this is your standard ERC20 interface. And we're doing this in all one file to make it easier. You'll see other contracts out there that import Open Zeppelin, and no, I didn't want that. This very simply imports what we need to interface with the IERC20, what they call the IERC20s, or the interface to the ERC20. And you'll notice a lot of the similar functions that you're used to, getting the balance, the name and symbol, throwing some events, blah, 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 whatever. And then this is the interface that I'm calling Pancake router. It can be called anything. I've discovered it's just our interface to get to those two functions that we need from the Pancake router that we're going to define here in a moment. So we need to get the amounts out, and then as you, if you are aware, you will notice in the contract we are using swap exact tokens for tokens. And this has been quite a bit of discussion back and forth in our Discord. Link down below to get an invite to our Discord. But there's been a lot of back and forth on should you use the actual wrapped BNB, or as we call it in the contract, WETH, to use the actual wrapped native token contract currency, quote unquote currency. It's just wrapped in the contract, and it's effectively the same thing. But in my experience so far, and I can't prove this yet, because I just am so new at this still. But of the handful of transactions that we've compared, when you and again this is again very anecdotally and not a scientific determination by no means, folks. The trouble is, it seems that smart contracts, at least, work better or are more efficient or maybe faster, but may end up using a little more gas. So it's kind of not intuitive, folks. So the problem is, when we get down to actually doing the swap, we have to use the swap exact tokens for tokens functionality. And then some of you might know there's a longer function that with supporting transfer, blah, 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 bullshit, fees on transfer things for your RFI tokens. There's that function we could pull in here too. But detecting that and knowing when to use that has sort of been the problem. I didn't want to go too crazy on that and get too complex too fast. So I kept it simple. So you'll need to have, and then this is what stumped me for half a day, and it makes perfect sense. And then this will solve some other problems for other people too, if you think about it. So since we're now swapping exact tokens for tokens, our path can technically be up to 3 elements long. If you think about how, and I don't have an image pulled up here, but if you've ever been swapping on Pancake Swap directly, and at the bottom you'll notice it'll say path, and it'll show 3 tokens instead of 2, because you get a better deal, and Pancake Swap detects that for you in their Pancake Swap website front end code, not any contract stuff. They've figured out how to detect that and alert you that, hey, instead of going, whatever path you were going to take, let's take this 3-way path. And that's what it talks about here in a minute. So, and that's why it may be beneficial, like it says here, address of the WETH token. It is needed because sometimes it is better to trade through WETH. You might get a better price using WETH. Example, trading from token A to WETH, then WETH to token A might result in a better price. And what they're absolutely hinting at here is arbitrage opportunities, folks, not just a better price in your trade, you can otherwise watch for arbitration opportunities and just simply perform the swap, and you made money because you went from token A to WETH to token A. And if you do that swap right, you can make breakage. You might not get Lambo rich, but you're going to make money per transaction, and you do those transactions however many times a day you can make them. It'll make money, folks. It'll print fucking money. I've watched it. Alrighty then. I'm jumping around a little bit, but you can tell if you're paying attention and have ideas and stuff. I'm hard coding these two addresses right now. In a mainnet deployment, this may be beneficial to not hard code it, or have a way to more easily make this move around the chain. So at the moment, as the way the Celerity file sits, this is tied to BSC testnet. So definitely keep that in the back of your mind if you're looking at jumping over to, say, Polygon. It's absolutely possible, but before you do that, you're going to need to find an equivalent Pancake router like QuickSwap's router, and then whatever WETH over there is, for Wrathmatic is over there. So just keep that in mind. These are hard coded right now to testnet, because it's just easier. And there's ways we can call a function basically. It'll cost gas, but that's the nature of things. That you could say, hey, function, initialize or function setup, and then make that, instead of an external sort of anybody here, and that's what we're gonna get to next, function, you make it owner only. And so we'll get into that kind of down the road, but for the moment, these two addresses are hard coded directly to um, BSC testnet. So take that note right there, folks. And then we're to the meat of this contract, is the swap. And that we'll get into in just a minute, but that's the public function that technically, again, there's a trust situation here, but technically anybody can interact with this swap the way I have it right now. We can fix that for mainnet deployments so that only the owner can interact with it, yada, yada, yada. But, for sake of ease of use and whatnot, this is a public function at the moment. But let's scroll down to the next function first, because it's kind of helpful. And it gives us a read element and a write element. So, and you'll notice it's the same function name that we're just simply wrapping. But you'll see the three-way path right here. So this is the get amounts out minimum function directly from Pancake router. That is called get amounts out. We basically return the path without the null character. I think basically is what that's doing. Is we return the path array directly from iPancake router's function call, but we're figuring out the path first. So basically what it's saying here is your path can either be to or from ETH, the wrapped ETH or the wrapped Matic or whatever that's why I left it ETH here, because that's the first one here. So it's either going to be wrapped with ETH or not, is all this is testing. And if it's not, so that means there's going to be three addresses. So if, let's say, you're going from Tether to DAI for some reason, and you'd go through WETH to do it, if there's an arbitrage opportunity there, or if the two tokens you did want to swap for some reason got a better price with the three-way, that is possible. And that's where you have to remember later on, is doing this path is a really hardcore key. They're sort of like lowball explaining here in code without explaining it. But from my experience in arbitrage and other market making opportunities in previous financial activities and whatnot, that makes a lot of sense to me why they would want to sort of have that in the function, and may not necessarily fully explain why it would ever get used. So that's a tricky little here you go kind of thing, but we're not going to explain it. And the reason why we put this in a contract instead of calling it in ethers is a theory I'm playing, is that the Pancake router is so overloaded with everybody hammering it like crazy. And, again, this is full on blatant speculation on my part because I have no empirical evidence to test this yet. But if you were to call this function directly from, say, ethers.js, it may not return on some of these crazy ass launches and these liquidity events and whatnot that take place when that particular contract is busy. It seems we have trouble getting that contract that value to get returned in a timely manner, or ethers.js has a bug or something. But from other inputs that I've been given in this crypto world about contracts and whatnot, it was beneficial to throw this in our contract because, as you'll see in a minute, we can query our contract for this information and we always get an answer. Again, I haven't deployed this on anything but testnet yet, so I can't tell you if it would work on a real world coin yet or not. But it's promising. Let's say it's promising that this will allow us. And again, this is the amounts out value from the contract. So this is telling us what the current market state is, what we would get back if that if that transaction was submitted at that moment in time, and only that moment in time, that value would be right. What we would want to do to that is, add some slippage. Is the only thing that I'm not doing here, because you call it first. So what we would do is we would do the slippage calculation either ourselves or whatnot, and but that's the amount out we would be guaranteed, basically, not accounting for any taxes. I don't believe any of this handles the reflection tax or the RFI, whatever you want to call it. I don't believe that accounts for it. So you're going to want to divide this big number by your slippage still, I believe. Again, we're still in learning mode here, folks. And then that leads us back to the swap. And as you can see, again, we're doing that same function that we do down here, to figure out the path. So what we do is we have to pass in a bunch of information, and you can see address of the token you're putting into. So let's say wrapped BNB, and then token out, let's say, is our farm contract from our testnet yield deployment. And then how much of token in are you putting in? So 0.01, let's say. And then how much you're expecting out minimum, not exactly, it's going to be a minimum value. And then the address you want those output funds to be sent to. And again, this is where you have to trust the contract, and by all means, definitely on mainnet, deploy your own contracts. But for testnet, I will publish addresses, and you can use these on testnet for sure, and test them out yourself. Go away, people. So then what we do is we first take the token in and transfer from you, because you just sent this, to the contract in the amount of that, however much you're passing in. Then we need to immediately approve that transaction on the Pancake router, because now Pancake router is going to spend this token in. And then we determine the path. given that same thing, either it's WETH or it's a three-way, and then we just simply call swap tokens for tokens, folks. And that's all we're doing right now. So now, if you think about it in the real world, there may be something else you may want to do here, or instead of just one transaction, you might want to do several. All that is possible in the contracts, and that's what makes the contracts powerful. Is is in this whole game of making contracts and decentralized whatnots and everything, but that's the meat of the swap. So let's go deploy this. So we have my Debian Linux environment here all set up. Make sure we are absolutely up to date. Good. So now we'll try it without because I may have messed it up last time. So this is where we're going to learn in real time together, folks. Normally, you should just be able to do truffle migrate network testnet BSC underscore testnet. And we should just be able to take the existing migrate contract that it already knows about, because I haven't, the last time I reset, there's another, you throw -- reset in there next if this doesn't work. So now it compiled the contract. See? So it knew the contract needed to be recompiled, but then now it says, nope, network's already up to date, no bueno. So if allegedly that doesn't do that on test on or you're, I don't know, but again, you wouldn't be updating the contract, so maybe resets always needed. I don't know, folks. So yeah, you wouldn't be updating a contract, but that's why they deploy the migrate contract. So maybe on, I don't know, folks. If anybody knows, definitely comment. Talk to us in Discord or whatever. Um, just we got to figure this out, because now what this is going to do is deploy yet another migrate contract. Again, it's testnet, so it doesn't matter. But I'm being told you shouldn't have to do this. So now you add the -- reset, and now it'll go, okay, we're going to recompile swap Sol again, because we know we need to compile it. And then now it replaces. So maybe it's not. I've not actually looked at that contract ever to see if it's putting a new contract out there every single time. I've not looked at that level to see if a new migrations contract gets out or if it's using the same one. See it. So I don't know, folks. So yeah, we'll just roll with it, is what they say. Just run. So we can ignore that first one, and now the deploy, which I'm going to change next to the word swap, so it'll be to swap, because we're replacing swap. So now this absolutely does give us a new contract, because again, we cannot change contracts. So here's the new contract address, folks, right there. So you want to keep that contract address handy. So now we got to go to testnetbscscan.com. And actually, instead of that, we'll go over here and do testnet, because I'm going to need this here in a minute. So when my computer decides to give me back some CPU power, we will go to testnet and we will find this address. Boom, 59 seconds ago. So go to the contract and you're like, oh shit, we can't read it. Well, now, since it's on testnet, we're going to have to go and deploy it, or go and verify it. We might not have to do that. Since we have the ABI internally, we won't have to verified on mainnet. Just know that. And then you got to come down and select 066 here. And then continue. And then, like I said, we need this file, so Control A, select all, or Command A if you're on Apple, and then paste it in. And there's nothing there because we don't have any constructors. So if we would have had a constructor, we would have to grab the ABI constructor, and then there would be another box that we'd have to pass in the constructor, which is why I didn't want to get too crazy, folks. I wanted to keep this simple. Then you just simply say verify and publish. Bam. And then there's your ABI, and there's the bytecode. But more importantly, you just simply go here, and now you can see the contract, you can read the contract, and you can write the contract. And so now we will copy that address again. I'm going to alert Discord. Well, I guess I don't really need to alert Discord. All right. So now, what we can do is find. The problem is I'm on my wrong window, folks. Oh yeah, let's go check out Pointstar. Man, it was doing good for a minute. I got in like block number 1.5. I got in like at the very, very end of block 1, folks. I think it may even block 2, like the first of block 2. I'm not certain, but I got in quick, took my initial out, and then just riding the rest on this, folks. But I need one of these over here, right here. So I'm gonna need this window brought back to this side. That's where we're working. All right, so now we'll need some addresses. This is all testnet, so we got to have this shit for testnet. So now the problem is, and like I said before, now we've actually got to go to the rat BNB website here for BSC scan testnet, and now go interact with the contract. We got to write the contract, and then what we need to do is from our contract here, take our contract code, and we have to approve it with this crazy number here that I will put in the doobly-doo below real quick too. It's called max 2. Why is it bold? I don't want it bold. And that whole stupid number, folks. I mean, technically, as you're saying, yeah, we're allowing this contract to spend that much rat BNB, but I mean, sure, if you can't get blood from a turnip, folks, if there's not rat BNB in the damn wallet, you're not going to get that much. So it's two theories of thought here. You either approve how much you're going to spend in GUI, or you approve it all. So this is testnet. We're going to approve it all. But remember, this is rat BNB, so this is an input. So we're inputting rat BNB. If you want to input Pornstar coin first, it's got to get approved. So this is a lot of manual shit right now, folks, and I'm in the process of building a real simple GUI to make this life a little easier and keep track of things for you, almost like Pancake Swap does, like where it pushes the approve button. You have to push the approve contract interaction first before it lets you swap it. We're going to need something of that order to do this, and I'm assuming, I don't know for a given fact, but I'm assuming all the bots need this because how the hell are you gonna remember all these steps on interacting with these contracts, folks? So yeah, now what we got to do is make sure we're on testnet first before I even try to connect. Because if you this is just a BSC scan thing. Um, yeah, see it doesn't. So let's go to the bot address on testnet, and then I've got it deployed on the other contract. So so it's actually deployed on this wallet up here. Um, and you'll see why this is important momentarily. But so you've got to pick what wallet that has some rat BNB in it, because we need rat BNB. That's the other problem. So you got to swap into it or wrap it on the testnet Pancake swap, folks. So you got to have rat BNB now in your wallet, unfortunately, for this, since we're inputting BNB to swap, so and we're on the rat BNB token page. So now we just simply connect to our Web3, and then that should be our address. Yep. And now we just simply approve this transaction, and it's going to come up and say, just like you're used to seeing on PancakeSwap, allow PancakeSwap to spend your whatever. PancakeSwap has never done this for me on rat BNB, so that's why it's weird to me, folks. But for us, we need to. I've been told we need to do this. For now, PancakeSwap may have figured it out under the hood, so I know it's possible to interact with BNB. It just we're going with this. So you run this transaction, let it confirm, and now this contract is now able to spend your BNB, your rat BNB. So now let's go get these contracts again. So now we're going to get rat BNB, and then we'll say we want to go to BUSD. And then for shits and grins here, let's do a unit converter. That's I figured. So we could say. All right, so we want 0.001 GUI. I guess it's just WE, huh? I think it's called GUI over here. So we're gonna go 001. We want it in GUI. That's what I'm saying. This is what makes it hard, folks. If we put in that figure there, and then now, okay, we're reading our contract. Boom. Method. See, what the fuck? Method response. Oh, huh. I was say, I've always got it to work before. There we go. So there's a number we need. So we copy that number. So again, for the cheap seats, we took wrapped BNB, and we wanted to know a number for wrapped, or for it's wrapped, but for BUSD, wrap BNB to BUSD. So now we come over here and we do that again. We say wrap BNB to BUSD. And then we say GUI. And then I'll grab it quickly from here. I don't think I'm leaking anything too crazy there. Some code. Douchebag. He knows who he is. And then this here, folks, this is the trust component of the contract. And we're not fucking connected again. This may go badly, folks. I may have to connect first. We'll see. So now, since we approved it on bot, we want to bring it back to bot. But this is the trust component of this current contract. You have to trust that the tokens are going to come back to you. So you then take the to address and then paste it in there. Like so now, if the testnet gods are going to be on our sides, and we are connected to that wallet, and we want to come back to that wallet, we write this transaction. So now it's going to say insufficient funds. Oh, see, it's not. No, bot. Insufficient funds. That's what I'm thinking. That might be the wrong value I put in, maybe, folks. This is why I hate big number. Big number. Yeah, so let me go. Yeah, node convert. Do it my way. I swore it said 18 up there, but. And we're not going to count the zeros, so we're just going to go do this again. Because it should stay there now. Well, we'll be able to tell here. If I paste in and it gets smaller. Ah, see? Ah, you fuckers. So yeah, so that was definitely that's why I hate this big number. Ah, so we need that number. So we need this number for there, and this crazy. Oops, no, no. That crazy number there. Bam. So now, wrap BNB to BUSD for 001. 001. Yep. We're gonna get that much back, which is like 2.5 is if we convert it the other way. So it's not, or it might even be point, but still, it's trivial at this point because it's not going to be real values. And now we shouldn't get the big old bull nonsense area. Yeah, so now it's a regular. So now, if you ever get into trouble of transactions and you see a ridiculously high gas rate and there's red on the screen, something's wrong. Don't, especially on mainnet, don't just start spamming confirm because it's not going to work. So now you're seeing you're calling the swap function from the bot to the contract. And clickety click, folks. And then by the time my computer gives me back some of my CPU time, ooh, we actually front run the, there it is. Boom! So yeah, 25 cents, folks. 25 cents. Yep. So they're doing the big number math for us on this page. But now you would see we now are the proud owner of 25 cents of the BUSD token, courtesy of the contract. And we never once officially interacted with Pancake Swap until you go look at here. You can see that it's interacting here with the AE wrap BNB. 9C is Pancake Swap right here, 9AC. And then 788, and then yeah, so you can see it never actually in the contract itself effectively never interacted with Pancake Swap, folks. It called their contracts somehow internally, but it's actually interacting with the contracts too, though. So that's what blows my gourd, folks. And there's you can see there's all the events that just happened, and so it never like really truly has to worry about Pancake Swap other than to get in and out, and so we're not worrying about a website stopping us from doing the transactions. It's the contract just simply responds to these calls and does what it's told. I'm told, and then you can see there's your gas spend right there. So that's what's causing all your gas is all this interaction, mostly back and forth with the tokens and then potentially just with the one call, maybe two calls there to, yeah. So then yeah, it then outputs the rest. Yeah, okay. But yeah, there, folks. So that's a successful swap. And then now, all right, well, we want to do it the other way. That's when we got to go to the token. We want to input. And what we could do, folks, um, is instead of, we could take this number here instead. We're going to want to connect to Web3. It doesn't matter apparently now anymore ahead of time or not. We just want to get the right address. And then we want to approve our contract. We're on BUSD. We want to approve our contract to spend this amount. And we'll do it just with that number to see if it's going to allow up to 21 cents. What was that transaction worth? I think I clicked away from it. Because we may have gotten a little more back. Because that's a minimum, remember? Yeah, C25. That wouldn't have worked, folks. That's why we need to actually get the token balance, and so we can't do that. That would have failed. So we got to find the BUSD now. There it is. It is 25. We'll give it 27. Well, the numbers just might be off. We'll see. We'll see if it lets it work here, folks. And it may be a good thing if it doesn't. So we approve for a little more, but that's basically what you'd have to do every token you want to swap out of. So then now, let's go back here and just swip these over. Bam, bam, AE, and then amount in would be this much, and that's how much we're going to get back. We actually probably should go get my balance. That's what we should do. So that's what I'm saying, folks. This is very, very early learning here. So now if we swap it back the other way, 788. So from BUSD back to wrapped BNB for that much amount. Oops. Oh, okay, perfect. So I approve. So what this means is I've approved for enough amount. MetaMask has seen that I'm allowed. There's no contract problems and all that craziness. It's got a good gas, and it's not like half of a freaking BNB to try to commit this. So you just submit the transaction, and then let's go front run the testnet again. Get her ready. Boom. So then we took the BUSD token and got back not as much as we put in. So it was not a successful arbitration, folks. But that's the whole concept right there, folks, is swapping in and out of currencies, tokens via the contract is absolutely possible now. Will this help us? Maybe. Does it give us more opportunities for things? Absolutely, because I'm not prepared to discuss specifics at this point. But given the popularity of things like flash loans and leverage and other financial shenanigans that are out there. Smart contracts are the way to go, folks. So that's Pancake Sniper Bot. We already have one in the Discord. We have a TX Pool Sniper Bot that will snipe fair launches. And we're trying to figure out the magic sauce on smart contract organized pre-sale launches. There's some differences there that maybe the smart contract helps us with. We don't know. We had to learn this first to be able to do the next step, folks. So definitely check us out on Discord, and if you got any input for us, we would definitely like to hear it. Nobody ever claims to know what the hell we're talking about. This is not financial advice. You will lose every dime you input into this game. Trust me, I've done it. With that, folks, definitely like and share the video with your peeps. It does help us out. We are growing pretty nicely here. I've been trying to come up with more and more ideas for videos and things to talk about on the YouTubes. But definitely join us on Discord because that's where most of the shenanigans ends up taking place, folks. All right. I'll catch you in that next video, folks.